Kuromukuro Season 1. For any of you who may not have checked out my Episode 1 review, I'll put a link in the description below for that one. You guys can of course check that out and have all your spoilers only pertaining to the very first episode compared to the entire season like this review is about to have. But that is your official spoiler warning. You guys can check that out. Also hear my theories that I had at the end of the first episode as to where I thought the series might be headed and certain things like that. But you can check that out, and then, if you haven't seen the entire season just yet, which I don't know why you'd be watching this, but just in case, there's a link in the description for that. And if you just want to check out, how I saw the series from my very first episode in general, you can check that out and then come back to this for the full season review. But getting into full-on spoilers, I actually want to start with the theory I had during the end of my episode 1 review, which is Yuki and his father returning. I thought that was going to happen, but it certainly didn't happen in the way I was expecting. I figured it would be the full reveal, like, he's come back, the ogres are here, he came back from wherever he was at, and it's like, look, he was right the entire time. And it actually ends up being, like, a secondary mystery. I was like, okay, so he left, does he ever find the ogres? What's his deal as far as belief? Like, how did he know that the ogres were going to come back? Where did his, his belief was so strong. It was like, where did that ever come from? So that mystery is still there. And now it's like, well, after he left, what did happen? Because he wasn't in space with the other ogres, but he seemed to have like his own little robot companion. He had like a blue one with green eyes. And so that ends up saving Yukino when she's in the forest from the other, the little headless. So it distracted that one, and then he came in and chopped its head off with a decent sized blade, and he has the watch on and everything. So I'm like, okay, odds are this is still him, but he does say, like, leave this place and forget about your father and stuff because he no longer exists. So they could always pull it off where it's like her father is actually dead and this is just the first ogre that he met, and maybe we get some answers from this ogre who actually betrayed the ogres in the past. They brought up a lot of stuff that I wasn't expecting in this, because when they get to, I think it was like episode 4 or 5, we get the airport scene. So they beat like the big bad enemy, and he ends up sacrificing himself. He gives up first, and then he comes out of the ship, he takes the helmet off, he's like, oh man, what are we about to get? And it's like, this dude looks like a human. And he speaks Japanese and everything, or English, because that was one of the funny things about this dub, is that they would always say they were speaking English. But he comes out and he takes the helmet off. I was like, that's just a normal dude. Like, what the F is going on here? And then they introduce really weird elements of Konosuke actually being one of the ogres as well, and even later when they have the second person that they capture, he kind of references the fact that maybe Konosuke's memories were altered, and I'm like, what in the world is going on here? So they added like a whole new mystery towards like the middle of the season, and we still don't have an official answer for that either, but it was very interesting. It's like, wow, does that mean Konosuke is an ogre? I had some theories that kind of got answered by the, literally the final scene of this season. But I was like, okay, during the episode, which was called like the Arrogant Captive, when they had the second ogre who gave himself up to get into the base, he was like, I want to talk with Konosuke because they referenced earlier in the season, he betrayed them. And then in this episode, he's the one who mentions maybe his memories were altered and stuff like that. And I was like, okay. So they go through some flashbacks after, like, the X-Files people come in, because they were definitely meant to be a reference to Mulder and Scully. So they come in, and they're asking Konosuke questions, and we get a flashback as to exactly what happened on the day he first started to pilot the Kuromukuro. And I thought that was very cool, because it starts off, it's simple, it's like, okay, I don't think he was a part of this advanced squadron or anything like that, but when they brought in the fact that his memories could be altered, there's a part during the flashback where it's like, that could have been where his memories were altered, because there's a scene where he thought that the princess was captured and killed, and he passed out, and then he wakes up out of nowhere, and it's like, poof, here's the princess in front of him, and it's like, did that really happen? Were his memories altered at that point? And if not, they skipped over a really big thing, which I definitely called, because during the flashback he mentions that she came to him and said, I need your life at this point, and she cuts her hand and cuts his hand, and they hold their hands together so that basically their blood fuses when it drops onto the inside of the horse. So when that happened, they kind of skipped over the fact that the princess was in control of the ship, because they're like, so Konosuke, that was the first time you piloted it, but not the princess. And he was like, yes. And they skipped right over the fact that the princess came to him with that. And I'm like, so doesn't that mean she's an ogre? But they skipped right over it to, because she's dead and it's been 450 years. So it's like, let's focus on him. But I was like, I feel like they skipped over a really important point, and apparently they did, because she was alive, and she is an ogre, which really shocked me at the end. I didn't even think that it would actually be her. I was just like, it's just some random woman. It didn't even occur to me, for whatever reason, I don't know why, I didn't even think that it would be relevant in that way, because I thought for sure she was the one that betrayed them, and she was killed, because one of my big things is that they assume Konosuke is one of the ogres, but if he was a part of like this advanced team, if he's a soldier in the war and he's like frontline, no one's gonna know who he is. He's not like a general or a lieutenant. He's just a random dude that was sent as the advanced team 450 years ago, but he has one of the blades and he's able to control the Kuromukuro. So it's like, of course they would assume that he betrayed them, because like only our people are able to do that. But if the princess was one of their people, if she was a part of the advanced team, which that brings in a million other questions, like how far in the past was the advanced team sent in? All these other different questions, because she grew up to be the princess, so I'm like, it's still a mystery, I don't really know. But that was one of those things where I'm like, they assume that it's him, but if he's just a random frontline infantry guy and it was 450 years ago, of course they'd have those assumptions. They would just assume he has control, so he must have betrayed us. He must be one of us, and he turned against us. But he could easily actually be human, and it was, the princess the whole time that wanted him to, go against the other people. So it's very confusing. There's still really no official answer by the end of the season, but it was definitely cool. I like the way they kind of threw in that mystery where it's like, okay, well, she was controlling the ship, so what does that mean about her? And then, why, we still don't know, why do the ogres look human? So there's still a million elements there, but I really enjoyed the way that they did it. The action was good throughout the whole season. The comedy was really good. I love like the first couple of episodes with Konosuke like adjusting. I really love that. My favorite was probably where the episode was like focused on him adjusting to life. And the part where he walked outside the house and he like first stepped on the asphalt with his bare foot and he was just like, hi, and he jumped. That made me laugh really hard, because I was like, that's funny, but that's really true. Like, everybody knows that if you like go to the beach or something, even just sand can be insanely hot depending on the day if you're walking barefoot. So stepping on like pure asphalt, I just love that scene where it was just like, it messed him up. So that made me laugh. The stuff with the TV where he's like, this battle should have been fought. All the samurai stuff where he's like, no one, you can kill anyone with these sort of positions and strikes and stuff. So I love seeing him adjust to the world, and like the way he was speaking in the beginning. So that definitely made me laugh. I love the side characters as well. We get to learn more about them as time goes on. We actually have, especially towards the end, I think it was like the episode before last, actually, we have all the characters kind of together officially training. We get to see, like, I'm pretty sure he's like the one American in the actual series. He's the only actual American person. But the guy who swears a bunch, I don't know if that's supposed to be a comment on, people from the States. But he's the guy who swears and he's super vulgar and everything. But he ends up being like the trainer for everybody. So we have Konosuke, Yukio, and I suck at names, so I really don't remember anybody else's name from the show. But we have, no one else needed to be training, but everyone else was, for whatever reason. It was just to have everybody together. And then we have the guy who's like basically like madly in love with Yukio. Like, he wants to be in a relationship with her. So they're all training together, and even though he ends up breaking his ankle, or at least spraining it, he decides that he's not going to stop. So he's still, they have this scene where his father apologizes to the guy, like, I'm sorry he caused trouble, and he was kind of just there just to take up more time. But then they cut to it, and even though he can't walk, he's still training, he's exercising, he does have this devotion to become a Gauss pilot. So I thought that was actually kind of cool, because he started off as just the character was like, I like her, so I just want to be with her, but it transitioned into, maybe I can actually make something of myself so that she'll notice me and stuff like that. So I just thought it was kind of interesting. It kind of took on its own thing, because it started as, I'm doing this because I like her, but I feel like with the way they handled his character, even as kind of a minor position, he took on a more important role for himself than he did for, trying to be in a relationship with her, even though that still is a part of his character. I was like, I feel like this is going to take on a much more significant role in, coming seasons, and he realizes, like, I'm doing this for me now way more than I'm doing it to be with her or anything. So I feel like that might be where it's headed for his character, and I kind of like that, because he's really the average guy. Like, his friends aren't really into the whole thing. Like, his buddy who does the camera stuff, I love him because he's really funny to me. And I'm like, man, I don't know what I would do in that situation, but I was kind of feeling, I was like, yeah, I don't know if I do that or not, but I would love to get some footage. So he was really funny. Like, he'd be streaming stuff. He was streaming them having just a conversation after they got in trouble. So he made me laugh all the time. He was like, man, I'm getting great footage here and stuff. And so I really liked his character. And their buddy, who was kind of just left out of it until like the last episode where he freaks out on stage. So I thought that was kind of funny. But I like how they definitely utilize the side characters and everything. And the relationships kind of build up over time, especially in the training episode. We get to see like the really rich girl. She was kind of distant from everyone, but she kind of helps Yukio. And it's like, don't worry, it gets better. And I thought that was interesting because that's not really her character. We have the girl with the pink hair whose name, I swear, had to have only been said like 3 times the whole season. Like, she barely even has lines. Like, she's almost invisible in this series, but she had like some super magical massage technique that helped Yu-Gi-Oh feel better in the morning. That was like the biggest thing she had in the whole freaking season, was her helping her feel better. So I was like, okay, that's it. That's all she got. So really nothing from her. Especially, it's really weird because, we see her partner so much because he's swearing all the freaking time. But she's just that quiet character, so she's kind of just there, but she doesn't say much. So it's just kind of interesting. But I really love the way that this first season was handled. Action was really well done. I especially loved when they did have the second ogre and he and Kanosuke fought at the end of the episode. That was really awesome. I love that because it was a hand-to-hand battle. Like, I love, just hand-to-hand combat. Or I guess more of a samurai thing. It's technically not hand-to-hand. Excuse me. But that was a really great fight. I think all the action was really well done. But I really love that just because it was, well, I can't say human to human, but it was just, close quarters combat. It wasn't in the machines and stuff like that. It was like they had to dodge and, kind of move around. So I really enjoyed the way that they did that. I love the weapons in general, where the katanas are like these laser katanas where they can cut through stuff. Like when they do the training and Kanosuke throws his at the target and it hits the wall and it just like slices through it like butter and it's just falling down. We find out that the blades actually eat other materials in order to heal, because Kanosuke's blade broke early on. I think it was only like episode 3 or something, and then they find out that the blades are actually like sinking into stuff because they're like eating the material that they're on top of in order to regenerate. And I was like, that's very cool. So I like that idea, and I'm curious to see if that'll transition into anything different in the future. They don't really show it after that either because they don't really have the blades break anymore, but I was like, that's really cool. I like that idea, that they even have that in there where it's like, okay, so the blades can break, but if you just drop it into some metal, it'll just eat the metal around it and reform. So very interesting concept, and I just feel like I'm waiting to see it utilized a little bit more and see how it can be utilized in a different way. But I thought that was pretty cool. Like I said, the comedy was good, the action was good, the actual season finale was very interesting. It was a very surprising way to do it as well, because we have basically the training episode. I was like, okay, so this is the episode before the season finale. Season finale comes up, and it's the festival episode. Like, they do all the combat, like they beat the enemies and stuff in the beginning. It's like, all right, done, and that's it. We go off, we have fun, we have a normal day, and then just do a festival at this school. I was like, okay, this is an odd way to do it, because the action's in the beginning, and then it kind of goes. It's still a good episode, but I was just like, oh, that's an interesting way to do the season finale. It's like odd pacing to me, because it's the finale. It's like leading into the next season. But the way it ends is great. Like, we have this moment where they're doing the festival and everything. Their class, of course, is the one that has 3 Gauss pilots, so it's like, all right, well, we'll do something special for the festival. We'll talk about the Kuromukuro and talk about the aliens and everything like that. And I thought it was very well done. And they talk about the cosplay thing because Yu-Gi-Oh's friend, she did cosplay before, which is really funny. That scene was really funny where Kanosuke takes a picture of her picture, and he's like, what is she wearing? But he like kept it on his phone, and then when he talks about that in this, I'm pretty sure it was in this episode, and she turns out, she's like, oh, where'd you hear about me like cosplaying? And he just looked at her and was like, what? And it was just the funniest thing to me. Like, he just froze, like, what'd you say? Like he was just dumb. So I love that scene. And then of course, after she kind of yells at him, they show the other dude who actually saved her picture like on his laptop and on his phone, and that just made me laugh like crazy. I thought that was so freaking funny. But they actually have, like the cosplay thing at the festival, and so this random woman who showed up at I believe it was at the end of the last episode, like she's out of her, I guess out of her entire ship or whatever. I forgot what they actually call them for the ogres, but she's just kind of walking around. Like the whole episode, she's just walking around. She's kind of looking at news and things like that. And I don't know why it never occurred to me, but it was her. It was the princess the whole time. Never dawned on me. She's just walking around. I thought it was a cool costume. That's all I was thinking. I was like, that's a pretty cool design. She's got like almost like a rapier type blade and stuff. So they're going through. She shows up at the festival, and the woman asks her about the cosplay. The girl asks her about the cosplay. I love that too. She's like, "Yeah, it's my battle armor." And the girl was just like, "I'm sure it is." And I was just like, I kind of experienced that before. Like, not personally, but it's like, yeah, when people don't really give a crap that you're a nerd, it's like, I bet. Okay. And like, that's how that scene played out to me. And I just thought it was super funny because I'm like, oh, I'm sure it is your battle armor. Go ahead. So of course she actually gets on the stage. And as she's running towards Kenosuke, I'm like, okay, we're about to have like a cool little action sequence. And then they show the face and the hood's coming off, and I was like, holy crap, that's the princess, and she's not dead. She didn't like evaporate into nothingness as the entire ship was getting destroyed and she was being pulled, away from Kenosuke. She, I guess, was taken by the people. And it's still one of those things, like, that doesn't technically mean she was an ogre, but she was controlling the ship. And we don't know how long they live for and all these other mysteries. So it's still a little bit confusing where it was like, I don't really know. Maybe she was innocent and then, 450 years, indoctrination and being manipulated and stuff like that. I don't really know. But she charges at him. And of course he freezes because it's like, I thought she was dead the whole time. And I can't wait to see the explanation in season 2 when Yukio actually does see the princess and is like, crap, I do look exactly like her. Like, she even had a picture early on in the episode. I missed it if that was supposed to be her or if that was supposed to actually be the princess. But either way, I was like, they're right in front of each other now. And plus, everyone's there watching, and Kenosuke just gets ran through, and it's like, princess. And then that's the end of the episode. I was like, crap, that was a great way to end off this season. So very excited to get into season 2. I actually have to finish season 1 of Knights of Sidonia before I get into season 2 of this because I'm trying to do all my reviews for those. So I have to get through those episodes because I stopped after I did the first one because I wanted to watch this one. So really enjoyed this. Excited to get to Knights of Sidonia and then get to season 2 of this because I'm really looking forward to how things are going to play out there. But that was a great first season. Like I said, I'm very excited for season 2. Great way to end things off, bringing the princess back to life. Still a ton of mysteries, like who's an ogre, who's not an ogre, what really are the ogres at this point. They have whatever the weird name is. I forgot. It's like build for whatever. I just keep forgetting, so that's why I stick with ogres. But they're like this race of aliens that govern other alien planets to protect them, they said. And that was another thing that they seemed to skip over, was like, you'll be under our protection. And I'm like, under protection of what? Like, from what is what I was thinking, but they kind of skip over that and go more to the, if we're under your protection, does that mean we're also under your control sort of deal? So it's like, okay, valid answer, or valid question. But I would like to know what they feel they need to protect Earth from. Is there like another threat? The actual ogres, perhaps. Like, that's totally a possibility that that's something that can happen. So I'm looking forward to a lot of answers, really, in this second season. But, of course, we'd love to know what you guys thought about this season. So please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts, least favorite parts. If you haven't seen season 2 yet, we'd love to know what you guys would like to see and what theories you have. If you have seen season 2, you can just let me know what you guys thought about this season, because I don't want any spoilers, of course, so I'm going to go into it on my own. But we'd love to know what you guys thought about this, so please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.